Samoei Ruto.
Mm-hmm.
These issues of the courts stopping things like
Mm-hmm.
feeding children,
Mm-hmm.
like everything BBI,
Mm-hmm.
it's beyond.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you that I'm so pissed off with the courts.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we even stop the BBI?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we stopping the children feeding program?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we stopping so many other things that the manifesto of the president is supposed to work?
Mm-hmm.
For the first time, I agree with William Samoei Ruto.
Mm-hmm.
Because, look, the courts cannot keep on denying the president to do his manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
That was his manifesto. He campaigned for it.
Mm-hmm.
Those who vote for it, bought it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we cannot allow the courts all the
Mm-hmm.
time to keep on just kila kitu anakataa.
Mm-hmm.
So when William Samoei Ruto says that, I agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to allow the courts all the time to stop things that are supposed to help common mwananchi.
Mm-hmm.
But the courts also, I agree with the courts when it refused the housing levy.
Mm-hmm.
That one was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when the courts keep on kila kitu wanaanza kusumbua watu.
Mm-hmm.
You see, during Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta time,
Mm-hmm.
walisumbua huyo jamaa bwana, mpaka hakuna manifesto yake hata moja ilifanya kazi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is this: the courts have become rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Let them go to the nearest island, jump.
Okay. Aha.
We are not going to allow the courts to be sasa
Aha.
hao ndio
Mm-hmm.
wana stop kila kitu.
Mm-hmm.
Kila kitu ukiangalia school
Mm-hmm.
feeding program ya watoto wachanga
Mm-hmm.
wana stop.
Mm-hmm.
Ukiangalia tena program zingine za president anataka kufanya,
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling
I
you
can
back.
hear you. Anaitwa bwana Alex. Alex seems to be agreeing with the president. What is your take? Do you agree with the president that easy courts zimekuwa too much? They are stopping everything. So how will he even operate? Atafanya aje kazi? Kama miradi yoyote ambayo anataka kufanya, kama kazi yoyote ambayo anataka kufanya, watu wanakimbia kotini. I'll be playing what Jeremiah Kioni said. I'll be playing what Wamoshomba said. I'm telling you, this has raised a conversation, and actually William Ruto said it's time we have this conversation. So it is already playing according to what he wanted. Well, it's interesting. Karibu sana wewe ambaye unatazama. I see Cornelo Chuka Kondani, Mr. G, Mr. Captain, and of course Alex. Now, Mr. Captain, what is it?
Thank you, Jex. And I see Alex, maybe this 2024 is not going well with him, because I'm seeing he is having some dents on some of the parts of the body. Okay, anyway, Alex is saying that he's agreeing with the president. So the other day we were complaining about the courts. In fact, they were the ones complaining about the courts that the ruling that was made that William Ruto won the elections. We were here discussing, and they were denying that William Ruto won. They were saying that he did not win. So is it that another chance now? Alex is telling us that even when they declared Ruto to have won, shows that the courts are doing correct thing. I don't know where he has gone. Maybe we'll answer some other time later. But it is not. It is not. Nobody is above the law. We cannot allow that. I always give an example of Henry Rotich, who was clear the other day about Kimorer. And we didn't hear the president complaining that Henry Rotich was not supposed to be cleared. Why is it that when other things like health, universal health and housing levy being stopped, and it will be hard next week anyway, the president complains? Why is it so? That is my question to Alex.
Okay. Mr. G, what do you make of the president complaining that the courts have turned out long? Of course, this is a discussion we had yesterday, and as I promised, and ladies and gentlemen, kindly mwashe sasa leo camera, because I don't want to really project many photos. If you can have your cameras on, it will be very good. I see my sister Angela today is in the house, and many of you joining us. Karibuni sana. Leo ni ile siku nakwambia ni kumoto tu sana. Ni kumoto sana. Okay? Mr. G,
Okay.
what do you make of the president saying, I'll defy the court?
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jakes. First of all, I greet you guys. Jakes, I see Mr. Leo is around, Mr. Captain, Honorable Alex is around. Allah, the name Allah. The other guy umefunika sijamuona, but I greet you guys. And, our guy, this is Colonel. This is Colonel and our guys on the comment section. On my side,
nimechukua salamu.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, on my side, I don't agree with Ruto in what he's talking about. In fact, okay, to me, on my side, see tunapenda Supreme Court, those judges. I don't like those judges because walikuwa bias from our case. Walikuwa bias. Na wakutaka kusikiza hata kesi yetu. In fact, walitweeta hot air, siji wide goons, siji what. They never even listen to what you are trying to explain. So those guys, mimi hata I cannot defend them. But on the issue ambao Alex amongelea, this issue of children, feeding children. Okay, sijaisikia vizuri. I think maybe kama unaweza kuwa na hiyo clip play so that I can see and I can able to understand what really happened. Because of me, I believe that no one can go to court without any reason. Mtu anaenda kotini ikiwa kuna reason. Kama sisi tunaenda kotini. Sisi tunaenda kotini tukijua.
Someone went to the courts, kukataa hiyo story ya feeding program, but go ahead, I'll get to the clip, but go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to understand really what happened kwa sababu sijaiona hiyo clip na sijajua what really happened. But on the issue of court, nilikuwa nasema no one just goes to court kama hakuna anything behind it. Always kwa anaenda kwa court, kwa anaenda ku defend something ama kuna kitu ambayo imemkasirisha, that's why he's going to court to stop. But our courts are so corrupt. That is the problem. Our courts are also so corrupt. Sometimes wanapeana judgment ambayo si ya ukweli. Maybe wacha nistopia hapo kwanza nisikie that clip ndio nitaweza kuendelea.
All right. Angela, vipi habari ya leo?
Poa sana Jax, unanisikia?
Kabisa. Habari ya masiku, mwaka mpya wako uko vipi?
Mwaka mpya tuko poa.
Endelea.
Mi nashukuru Mungu niko mzima, Mungu amenifukisha nikiwaona na furahia, isipokuwa ni Sakayo wetu tu yamekuwa kichwa ngumu zaidi ya kila kitu.
Okay. So wewe unakubaliana na venye anasema? I think yeye hataki sasa kufuata sheria, hataki kufuata uamuzi wa mahakama. Unakubaliana na yeye?
Mimi sikubaliani na yeye. Anakosa mwelekeo. Amekosa hekima, amekosa maarifa ndani mwake. Anatumia kifua. Na unajua hata uwezi, inafaa like wananchi wakilia, anafaa kuwasikiza na akumbuke ya kwamba hao ndio walifanya akawa jinsi alivyo. Iwapo atatumia kifua pia na sisi tunalia, Mungu atatumia tu njia yote ile kumshusha yale madaraka yake. 2027 si mbali. Yeye wacha amee pembe, amee kifua juu, amekosa mwelekeo. Sometimes nakaa chini najiuliza, who normally advises Ruto? Nakaa chini najiuliza nikiona akona kina Musalia na kina Wetangula, kina Nahumicha and so on, nakaa najiuliza, are they reasoning or they just wake up and say something yenye wametaka kusema? Hadi nashindwa hadi kuna mtu alisema ati we are back in Moi eras. Moi eras was somehow good. Wakati wa Moi ungesikia mafuta ilipanda lakini ilishukishwa saa 7 ya mchana, kila mtu ameshukisha mafuta. Kama wananchi wangejua sana, lakini yake imesidi. If anafika to next and anasema koti iko chini yake, yeye ako juu, then what do you expect next in this Kenya of ours? That's why the other day I told you that tutaamka tu kesho unasikia wa China wamenunua Kenya mzima, mnafaa kuhama and you have nowhere to go. Jo anatumia kifua. Haongozi. So hata nimesikia the other day nilikuwa naona kuna mashirika fulani tu zilikuwa zimepatana. I think wakawa wanaongea kuhusu uongozi wake, but as much as atatumia kifua, but watamulalia tu kabisa one on one, hata faulu na kifua yake.
Okay. So unakubaliana na koti iendelee kusimamisha miradi?
Iendelee kusimamisha miradi kabisa. In fact the other day kuna ule jamaa alikuwa ameongoza hiyo maandamano, ni mtu najua tu kabisa. Sasa huyo mtu nikawa namwambia, unakumbuka uliandika jina langu na kitambulisho yangu, pesa zikakuja za kujenga vibanda za wafanyabiashara wadogo wadogo, ukakulia jina langu, pesa zikaletwa mkagawana, tena bado umechukua vijana umewapeleka kujenga nyumba tena ukulie kwa hao majina yao, ndio maana unaongoza maandamano. Akanyamaza, hata hakunijibu, akaniambia wewe naye umetokea wapi? Nikamwambia mimi nimekuona kwa TV ukisema ati hao vijana utapeleka wapi? Wakati mwingine, wakati wa uhuru wakaleta pesa za wanifanyi biashara, mkatugonga, mkatuandika majina zaidi ya 200 people wafanyi biashara wadogo wadogo, pesa zikakuja mkameza tena zaidi. Nikamwambia wewe umebahatika sana.
Okay. Shikilia tu hapo Anji, leo tuko wengi, wacha nipe watu dakika kidogo. Nije kwako bwana Konelo Chuka. Matamshi ya rais yanakaa yamekera kila mtu, hadi Miguna hadi wa Mushomba. I'll be playing all those clips just now and equally reflecting the statements. Una make what kulingana na vile rais anashambuliwa left, right and center, na alisema tu mimi sitakubali tena kukaziwa kufanya kazi na courts. What do you make of that?
Sasa habari zenyu, nimefurahi sana kuona kila mtu. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you sir.
Mimi nimefurahia na matamshi ya rais sana, yananipendeza kwa sababu court yetu ya Kenya ni bure, parliament ni bure, government ni bure, wananchi mama mboga sijui bodaboda nini bure, kila mtu ni bure hapa Kenya. So hii ni njia ya kutuonyesha nchi inaenda kwa mtaro. Tuiokote huko kwa mtaro, because kama government yenyewe, rais mwenyewe anaweza tamka kitu kama hiyo, kitu ambaye mtu hafai kutamka, rais mwenyewe wa nchi. Aliwekwa hapo na kotini, sisi wananchi, koti ndiyo ilimweka hapo, asisahau hiyo. Leo anakuja anasema the same court iko corrupt, hata sikia maneno ya court atafanya. Inamaanisha pia sisi turudi wenye tulikuwa kitambo, tuseme kama court ilikuweka hapo na uheshimu court, hata sisi pia ni mtaro kama wewe. You know, so Kenya inanifurahisha sana. Parliament imekuwa bogus, government bogus. Mimi sijawahi support judiciary hata kidogo. Hata right now we have issues with land, we have issues with wizi, we have issues with property. Court inafanyaga tu vitu zake. Magistrates wanaiba venye wanataka, lawyers wana corrupt, wanakunyang'anya venye wanataka, usipoclaim your own properties wanachukua. So nchi iko sawa, rais ako sawa, kila kitu iko sawa. Ile matamshi ambaye rais mwenye amekalia kiti ya uongozi anazungumza, inakuonyesha nchi iko kwa mashakani. Aliojiwa akasema Uganda, relationship yetu na Uganda iko sawa, iko intact. Right now tumeona Uganda wamekimbia watu wa kwanza kwenda kotini kuripoti mambo na oil. Inakuonyesha yenye rais anakwambia usiamini, ni midomo tu. So mwenye anafuata mambo ya rais I think ajui. Judiciary Koome, saizi ndio Koome anajua ile sura ambayo hajaiona, na bado watatwangwa zile pesa za kuunda kotini, mshahara zao, wale majaji zote ziwekwa chini ya carpet. But as per now iko sawa.
Alright. Okay, Geoffrey Omariba, vipi kaka? Karibu sana kwa show. Natumai mzima. Maoni yako ni yapi? Wewe unakubaliana na majaji ama unakubaliana na rais? Geoffrey,
majaji wako sawa kabisa. Habari yenu?
Salama sana. Sijui kwa nini hujawasha kamera, lakini endelea.
Nasema majaji wako sawa. Sana sana hii kitu ya au si tunataka kitu kabisa. Na pia lazima heshimu sheria.
But bwana Geoffrey, kila mtu anakimbia kotini, anasimamisha mipango yote, atafanya kazi aje bana we? Geoffrey,
hata pia wewe sana tunaumia. Yes.
Huyu jamaa ongea na nguvu bana. Kwani hajakula?
Geoffrey, ongeza ka sauti kidogo. Mimi nakusikia lakini kwa umbali. Ongeza sauti kidogo. Watu wakikimbia kotini na kila kitu, rais atafanya aje kazi?
Amekunywa dawa ni
sauti ndio nini? Geoffrey, sauti vipi kaka? Geoffrey? All right, as I'm working on Geoffrey's end. Yes?
Hello?
Yes, nakusikia. All right. Bwana leo
kitu wanaongea.
Acha nijaribu kuona vile nitamsaidia pande hii ya studio. Bwana leo
Alex, leo uko na ukali, kwani uko na kesi kotini na bado majaji wanakupatia mention na hawajakupatia hearing?
Wamelipea zote.
Wewe ni kama uko na kesi umepewa mention, sasa unatafuta hearing. Anyway, happy new year. I can see
jamaa anaongea point nzuri lakini
anatulimit.
Lakini nitajaribu kusema vile amesema.
Nguvu tumsikize kwa sababu tuko kwa debate.
Haya bwana, leo maoni yako ni yapi?
Allow me wish you happy new year na ni wasalimie hapo Jex, namuona Mr. G, captain mwenyewe, huyu najua ni Angela, namuona dada Stella pale, Ashley pia leo amepatikana, na Geoffrey Omariba, Cornelo Chuka, long time hii mwaka happy new year. Hii mwaka inaonekana ni mzuri. Ingawaje watu
wawashe kamera, ni
watu wameweka kamera inakaa ni kama ni audio bwana. Hizi sura zenu inafaa tuzione. Ni mwaka mpya.
Acha tuone sura wadau. Okay.
I like it.
Very good.
Anyway,
unatuonanga kila siku hapa Nyabaya na hata Mungu tupea sikukuu.
Sikukuu ndio kusema nini?
Wacha tuendelee na show. Let's, because most of us are seriously waiting to hear what you have to say. Let's continue with the debate.
This is what I have to say.
This
is what I have to say, Mr. Jex. I have to say that for the sake and for the record and for people to learn some lessons, President William Ruto is a product of judiciary. And number two, it's time for judiciary to learn. They are the ones who made William Ruto the president. Now it is their turn to realize that Kenyans were right.
Sorry. I was muting Captain Kakumute Pole.
Okay, Kenyans were right when they were trying to convince the Supreme Court that William Ruto is not the right person in that office. But they defied that and they made him president. And now it is their time to experience. It is called choices have consequences. So it is their time now to feel, and it is good they are being served right. They're the ones who made him president. Now he's now dealing with them. And if it were my wish, I would tell William Ruto, don't stop there. There's a lot of corruption. Can you clear all these magistrates, send the DCI, send the SST and all these agencies until they toe your line? They have to learn and they need to know people. Then number two, I also want to say that one is because of judiciary. But in reality, when we were told that, I liked this man called Wajakoya, because he really told us that when he is made president, he will first of all suspend the constitution. That is what is needed in this country. But William Ruto did not say so. But right now he's suspending the constitution. What he did yesterday is driving this country into anarchy, and he really discredited the judiciary. So we, the common mwananchi, I don't think we'll find it. That one I know is Stella. I don't think we'll find it easy to go to these courts. If the head of state have told you is the court in Bandia, and it is not the first time. In the BBI report, if you remember, the BBI proposed something called ombudsman, and William Ruto challenged it and said that why would we have ombudsman to check on the judiciary, which is independent? But he confirmed to us that really we needed this ombudsman because however much we say judiciary is independent, it is not independent. So we have a long way to go as a country. And what we just need to tell Kenyans is that they lower the expectations. The judiciary has been confirmed ineffective. So I'll wait to hear from Stella. They are the ones who work, that is their office. So I want to see what happens. So allow me, maybe I can see Alex is raising the hand as I leave. Just allow me to give you this voice note of William Ruto, and it will tell you that these things are bound to happen, and it will also tell you that he speaks from both mouths. So just allow me give you that.
The recommendation that has been made to have an ombudsman appointed by the executive into the judiciary, in my respectful submission, is a derogation from the independence of the judiciary. And we must be careful. We must be careful about the independence of institutions. We are coming from a history where judges received telephone calls, where courts were held at night. We do not want to go there.
All right.
So we don't want to go there, but now he's driving us there. Thank you.
Mr. Alex, you're raising your hand before I come to Ashley.
I agree with the president because the courts have become rogue. If you look at what they are doing right now, everything they are disagreeing. If Kenya, everything we disagree, Mr. Jakes, where are we going to go? I'm saying I'm agreeing with the president. I have never agreed with William Samoei Ruto. But for this time, I'm agreeing with him. The way the courts are working, everything they disagree. Unapata kuwa katika katiba Kenya, hawa watu wanafanya nini? Kila kitu wanakataa. Kila kitu wanakataa. Ukiangalia katiba BBI wanakataa. Ukiangalia katika vitu zingine wanakataa. Sasa hawa watu wanatusaidia nini? No, I don't agree with the judiciary.
Ale,
The judiciary
Stella,
has gone
unmute.
wrong. The judiciary
Stella
has gone
mute.
wrong.
Stella mute.
Tuendelee maneno mengine.
Actually, what do you make of what the president was saying? Stella, I'm trying to mute you because your end has serious echo. Ashley?
Naona captain anaweka mkono juu, lakini yeye ni
Nitakuja
mjinga
kwake
sana.
tu saa hizi. Nataka kwanza kila mtu apate fursa ya kuongea. Ashley, what do you mean? Captain, ngoja tu kidogo.
Nani anakuita, anaitwa nani?
Mzalendo
anakuita captain.
Ashley, what do you make of what William Ruto seems to say? I'll defy the court orders. I will do now what I want to do because these courts are stopping everything I want or I intend to do.
I'll start by saying Happy New Year, everybody. And then
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Thank you. In our courts, there is no special preference given to anyone. And our law, we are all equal.
Huyo ni nani anaongea kwanza?
Ni Ashley. Ni Ashley.
Ashley, okay. Ashley, thank you.
And our law, we are all equal. So when he says they are stopping everything I want, then he wants to be treated special. Because when he goes to court, he's just like every other Kenyan that goes to court. And the thing is that he has a special, like there are people who are given, like teachers are expected to be morally upright. There are people in society that pastors are expected to live to a certain standard more than other people. The president is supposed to give us confidence in the institutions that we have. When it is the president that is making us not confident in the institutions that we have a real problem. And I think he should be impeached. Because if they've gone to court, if he wants to disobey
the court order, the president should be impeached.
Okay, write your notes. Let me finish, please. So if he wants to disobey as a Kenyan, then what he's telling Raila too, he can disobey that they passed that Ruto was elected president. Now, if tomorrow we come and do a coup and he's removed, he cannot go and say it was the people's mandate. Because under the law that he's supposed to be you can't have it both ways. You either respect the law, whether it is wrong or right, and wait at that such a time when what you want can go through, or go back and look at what you want. Is it just? Is it legal? Because most of the things someone is talking about BBI, it was unconstitutional on so many grounds. Alex knows better. Even when you go to do a referendum, you have to bring each bill separate. You can't couple them. You can't put them all in one basket. He knows better than that. He knows. So when it was unconstitutional, if they went and they want all those things that they wanted in the BBI.
Ashley, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
You dropped and came back, but anyway, go ahead.
If Ruto wants to disobey the court, then even if someone wants to go and remove him, he cannot claim that he was constitutionally elected. So he has to decide if Kenya will live by the rule of law, including himself, or we will live outside the law where we do what we want, what we feel is right, and what we feel is just. Because how many cases has the DPP dropped? Why hasn't he complained about all this money that has disappeared from the government? Jakes, you have asked if they are stopping everything he wants to do. those are not basics. People have said they are hungry. Money has been stolen. Nobody has prosecuted people from COVID millionaires. If those are the cases that were being dropped and he was mad, everybody would support him. His policies, the things that he wants, are not what the majority wants. And if we would call someone like Okiya Omtata here, he would explain to us how they are not constitutional. All he needs to do, work within the confines of the law and the constitution, and I don't think the courts would have any ground to stop him. But he wants to operate outside of the constitution that he was elected within. He says he wants, and he's legally mandated by the constitution to be the president because according to him, he had the majority. So if he wants to quote the constitution, it's just like he's doing the Bible. He wants to quote the Bible, but he doesn't live by the law and the word of the Bible. So he can't be half-half. He can't be lukewarm. If he goes against the law, then we can also go and remove him against the law, and he cannot come and claim that he was constitutionally elected, because once he throws it out, we are going to do the same too. Yeah.
Alex, what is it?
So before Alex, maybe I just want to add on what Ashley is saying. Ruto thinks that the Kenyan constitution is a Bible where you can just choose a will. You know, the Bible, God gives you a will to choose to obey or not to obey, with the promise that if you don't obey, there is a punishment in life after death. But the constitution is not a Bible whereby you are allowed to choose whether you want to obey or not to obey. It is obvious, and it is in black and white, you have to obey. Talking of that the projects are being stopped, no project is being stopped unless it is illegal. You cannot steal people's money. This is an example. I'm not saying you've stolen people's money. You cannot steal people's money to build a school. That is illegal. Whether that school is important or not important, as long as you've not followed the right procedure, it has to be stopped. There's this issue of the school feeding. I think we'll get an opportunity to talk about it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Alex, what were you saying?
I had a question to Alex.
Just one moment, Captain. Alex.
Oh, now.
Yes, I can handle the question.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Captain, your question.
Alex is agreeing with the president, and my question to Alex was that, Alex, are you okay with housing levy and universal health care? Because you are agreeing with Ruto.
Keep the universal elsewhere. The problem is this. This thing that has been devolved.
Leo, allow them to respond. I'll give you some time, Bona Leo. Yes, Alex.
Okay. Let me nimelewa kidogo.
And I can see that, and I'm actually worried about that. But anyway, yeah.
Jakes.
Now I'll give you some time kidogo kunywe kahawa na ulambe asali, then I'll have you.
Kunywe kahawa. Nataka niwaambie leo kweli. Hapana, sikunywi kahawa.
But I wish you were really sober to do that.
No, sikunywi kahawa.
Okay, so what were you saying?
So kitu nilikuwa nasema ni hii. Unajua huyu mtu anaitwa Ruto anasema ukweli sahi. Na ukweli wake.
Wow. Now, guys, allow me. I know you know Alex to be very sober and to be very
ukweli wake
positive in debate.
Anasema kuwa Wakenya sisi hatusemi ukweli. Koti zimeharibu vitu zetu. Unaangalia koti kila kitu wanaharibu kila kitu.
Alex is not sober, bwana.
Nimeridhika na hiyo jibu. Nimeridhika.
They normally say that just one moment, guys. You should understand. They normally say that at times a man who is tipsy kidogo can say ukweli kiasi, but I'll be coming to him in a while. So allow us to flow. So don't mind him. We know him to be a sound debater. So akukosangi those moments. All right. Okay. So let's go on. I want to bring in an advocate of the courts and Bwana Stella, Madam Stella Soli. What do you make of what President Ruto is saying? Of course, he took a cue from what Gathangwa advised him yesterday. Gathangwa, the senator of Kiambu, told him Uhuru defiled court orders na hakuna mahali alipelekwa. Pia wewe ukidefy court orders hakuna pahali utapelekwa. And everyone now seems to be fighting William Ruto. But what is the truth that happens in the court? Do we have a fair justice system? Stella? Stella, are you there?
It's me, I can't hear.
We can hear you. Now, if you what's your name?
Unanisikia?
Go ahead.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Jack,
Okay.
when Stella is speaking, all of us should mute. She normally has a problem. Only her should be.
I'm on the road. Let me. Hello?
Stella, you are okay. When you are speaking, we should all mute because when we mute, we'll hear you. Just proceed.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. So I know it's kind of disappointing 2024 with the opening remarks of our president. I think it's very exhausting, especially for us in the judiciary, because you see, when we are compromised, we are unable to perform our duties. But we have gallant soldiers in our court, in our judicial system, who are bold enough to tell the president you're doing wrong. And he has to accept. So I heard someone saying that the court is trying to sabotage of what the president is implementing. Do know that the court and also the people who are filing those matters, they've gone through the due diligence, but the government itself and also the advisors of the president did not go in a proper legal structure. In quotes, we say it as a legal framework. The things for the housing fund and the NHIF, everybody knows, yes, this thing was touched through our throat. It never went to a legal process. It doesn't have a legal framework. And also, even you saw the orders that the public participation never was not conducted on doing such things. It is saddening to see even today that there was a clip which was shown at Mutembei TV where there was a woman who was fighting in the hospital because of a kin who has been paying his NHIF dues but cannot access health, what do you call health, whatever. Now, if Ruto is saying that he's trying to stop NHIF, the thing is, this SHIF which he brought, or SHA, this thing is not even, it has not even transitioned. If you see, even people are complaining to date, they cannot even access hospitals because NHIF has been made to be appealed. So we don't know where this money has gone to. So things like health services, it's more important than this housing fund. These people are fighting in and out. So when he's saying that the court is trying to interfere for him not to, to transition NHIF to SHIF, none of the Kenyans were ready for this. It is something which he woke up in the morning and dashed it to our throat. There was no legal framework. Yes. There was no proper structure. No one even understand how the handbook of SHIF, the way it is operating. Yeah, Nakumicha was saying that, oh, sijui it will go and pay for those people who cannot afford sijui what, because we do not understand the clear indication. We also I tried to go through some court documents, and I would see the guys at the civil society when they explained and they said to the court that this thing, it is not viable for a common wananchi. They have to go back to NHIF. They see those structures. If they need to improve, they need to give some what do you call, some kind of a survey to know how someone in Mama Mboga, how he can afford health sector. They can go to insurance, how they can improve the health sector. They need even to go even to those hospitals who are privately owned to understand how this thing can work. But when the president is fighting, saying mtanijua haujui, you're threatening the judicial system, which this judicial system created you, which you really need to respect like any other person. A president is just a name, but you took that oath. The time you were given the sword, and you were given the oath and the constitution, which you need to also respect that constitution. This is not a household thing which you're going to joke about. Someone has to put the president in order. As they say, if the king is going to be naked, there's something wrong with that kingdom. So that's what I can say.
I'll be coming to you now with more questions. Well, today we are a full house, but we still have more room. So to join us, kupitia link ambayo iko hapo kwa comment section. Hiyo ndio link unajiunga nayo nasi kwa studio, inakutuma StreamYard. Ukiingia StreamYard, washa kamera, washa mic, alafu andika jina, una click enter, unajikuta uko kwa show. Na wale pia mko kwa show, tafadhali try to have your cameras on, because this show is being watched by so many. I wish you can see the numbers in all our platforms. Bwana Eli, good to see you after a very long time. Happy New Year, my brother.
Good to see you, Jack.
Yeah, karibu sana kwa show. I'll be coming to you just now, but I just felt let me acknowledge you by salamu. Penya Gaka vipi? Bwana Pen, are you there?
Yeah, salam.
Yeah. What do you make of the president and the remarks that has come? Because everyone seems to be angry by the remarks and the sentiments made yesterday by the president. Of course, we tackled that quite a bit, Jana. But what do you make of the response from Raila Odinga, Miguna Miguna, Martha Koome, from Gadoni wa Moshomba, from Jeremiah Kiyote? I'll be playing all those sentiments just now. But what do you make of their responses? They are saying that this is the making of a dictator. This is how they begin.
That is a true picture of democracy, kwa sababu kila mtu lazima azungumze yale ambayo anafikiria. The president said exactly what some of us have been saying before. When they realized, when Asmio realized that the parliament wouldn't be doing their job, they went to the courts. And of course, the courts in Kenya have been corrupt for a long time. It is not now that when we remember when they ruled for Ruto, then the Asmio brigade was attacking the court. Nobody said anything then. But now that Ruto has said anything, now all the Asmio people have woke up to the arguments of what they are talking about. But the courts, I mean, some of us have been arguing a lot about what Justice Odinga was ruling. But Odinga was ruling against the government of the day. But he was using the book. He was using the constitution. So that we can support him even if he's ruling against what some of us believed in. Like in Sasa, Ruto just expressed the views of a lot of us because the courts have been used to he ran the elections for. He won the elections for promising that he would build houses, he would do this, he would do that. He won the election. But now they have gone to court so that they can stop that. And he was just expressing himself. And everybody, Kina Miguna, everybody, that's the beauty of democracy. You have to stand what everybody has to say. They have a right, and I could defend that right to the end of anybody saying what they have to say, even if it's Ruto. James, I told you I grew up in the court system, and you cannot always agree. Be very proud of what the court says. What the court says today, it can change it. You can go to another different jurisdiction, and they rule otherwise against what you ruled before. So the code is not uniform. Any uniform code is the military code or a dictatorship code. So that we have to be very proud of what the court of Kenya is doing. But those judges that are corrupt, they will have to be dealt with. You too. Yeah,
All right. All right. Bwana Eli, what do you make of the president? Is he now turning rogue? He has accused the courts of being corrupt. But many are saying that this is a man who has been built by this court. He was handed power by the court. He cannot now come back and say these courts are corrupt. Yet they are the ones that built him. What do you make of his sentiments? Is he a man who wants to operate above the law?
Thanks, Jax, and thanks to everyone there. Number one, I don't recognize the regime, so I'm actually people like Ashley, who previously, like yourself, Jax, were supporting and still supporting this Kenya Kwanza. You were fans of this regime during the pre-election time, and you knew what you were doing, you corrupt the system was going to be. Not to say that Raila's side was less corrupt, but we know how elections were manipulated, and here he is now talking about a judiciary system that manipulated the elections results. So I'm happy to cry. In fact, I'm very happy he's talking the way he's talking, because what he's just confirming is what Kenyans already know, that you see, Ashley ameshakimbia hapo because she knows exactly.
No, she's
she's
coming back. She's coming back.
Honestly, and then they come here telling us, as if now they've become, I don't know what. These people are the ones who are torturing us with senseless talk about Ruto this, Ruto that, how it changed the country. I don't even feel sorry for them at all. In fact, the more Ruto instills fear for me, and I'm not saying this because I'm abroad, because I come to Kenya often, but the more I think it wakes Kenyans that there are a bunch of politicians that are just there to screw us all. So let's learn the hard way. The World Bank is behind Ruto, the IMF, all the international Bretton Woods organizations. They're the ones who are behind all these housing policies. We know this. They're the ones who are telling him about taxation policies. We know this. He's as conservative as most of the Western cartels that are driving this force about instead of borrowing or instilling discipline into paying back loans from Africa, we need to start, thinking about punishing people by raising taxes. I think that doesn't make sense at all. The man stands there in front of people, and people, in fact, you could see from, I hardly watch Ruto, by the way, but this statement when he made it, is it yesterday or 2 days ago, people were hardly clapping. I mean, there was a slow clap. You could see that they were very, very upset by his ignoramus attitude, But I still thank what he said, because it just confirms what Kenyans pretend not to know, that the judiciary is very corrupt. Ruto himself has a major stake as one of the biggest insurance investors. So when we start thinking about healthcare and all manner of insurance, Ruto is involved in that as a private investor. So there's nothing shocking there. I would like to say that what we're doing here is we're expressing our democratic right. Yes, Penny Nyagaka is right. I don't have to condemn him because he's a Ruto supporter. That democratic right is now the final frontier, where if Ruto touches that, then Kenyans know what to do. I actually don't feel sorry for those young fellows in Nyeri and all the other prisons that have been locked up by the Ruto regime through Rigathi Gachagua. That's none of my business, because these are the same people who decided that a leadership such as this should take over the reins of power. So thanks very much, and those are my views.
I'll be coming to you with more questions to Koengi. That's why I'm not asking many. Let me come to you, Cornelo Chuka. I see Leo has been excited by those remarks. Cornelo Chuka, vipi?
I wanted our friend before aende, because yeye ndio najua yeye ndiye anaweza jibu hii swali. Napendaga swali kama hizo kuuliza watu ambao wako very sharp. How did the president came to know out that courts ziko corrupt? Mtu alijuaje courts ziko corrupt kama si yeye mwenyewe hajaipatiana ongo? So our brother ajibu hiyo swali. Alijuaje courts ziko corrupt, na sasa yeye amesema hatafuata kanuni za hiyo koti.
Sasa hiyo yeye amesema kwanza hata hakubaliani na hii yeye hakubali hii ni serikali, so I don't know if he's able to answer, but you can answer as well, Bwana Eli. How do you think Ruto knows that the courts are corrupt?
As I said to you, I came here to laugh, but I'll keep the laughter on pause because I'm actually enjoying the drama of what's going on. But in terms of whether or not Ruto knows that the judicial officers are corrupt, honestly, that's a comical question, because you know yourself how many cases that Ruto has bowled over because of the corruption between himself, the judicial officers, the executive or the police prosecution system that's took to court in the first place. How much Ruto has conspired even during the post-election violence with the likes of I'm sorry to mention this, but I will. Private entities like Maricom and other organizations deducted his role in the election violence, his mobile phone, diaries, all the things that we know about the post-election violence, and how the system at the time they had to prevent any justice for the victims of the election violence. This is one guy who cannot sit down and say that he doesn't know anything about corruption. If I start talking about the land cases and even the soft conviction that he was given, the guy that he stole land from, that's just a dot, just a dot in how much this guy has affected the country. And by the way, this is not to say that Ruto is the only special character in terms of or theft in the country. Those guys are there in the so-called opposition. They actually sit as shareholders, in boardrooms. Both sides of the politics of India. So one thing we must accept, if we're really having a serious debate, even though I came here to learn, is that what Ruto mentioned about the judiciary. I mean, Uhuru did the same. He called them, I think, the last time, his first term, something about those 4 or 5 people, and he called them some expletive. They all know that corruption is deep in the Kenyan judicial offices. And you guys, all of you seated there, So it's not something new, something we all know. It's going to take a very difficult length of time to change, but it needs to change. I can't see any meaningful change in Kenya for the next at least 20 years. It's not happening unless we have some form of velvet revolution. I don't see anything happening. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, beautiful sentiments, ladies and gentlemen. We are discussing the issue William Ruto raised jana, where he said we must have a conversation on how courts have been ruling, especially stopping most of his pet projects. And that's why we are having this debate, because today many responded to that. Many leaders came out gun blazing, telling Ruto, we cannot allow you, we won't allow you to defy court orders. We won't allow you to live above the law, neither will we allow you to operate above the constitution. Of course, Martha Koome issued a statement. I'll be highlighting what she said, as well as what Raila Odinga said, what Miguna Miguna had to say, what Theuri, the Law Society chairperson, had to say, including as well what Gathoni Wamuchomba, what Jeremiah Kioni, all these lawyers, what they had to say, the reaction therein to what the president had said. Mr. G, from where you sit, some of these of these rulings from court, some have been termed as they have been cited in other courts. They have made precedents, that in Kenya a presidential election was nullified. So we have seen the courts really coming out to showcase that it is truly a citadel of justice. There Kenyans can get their justice. Other institutions have failed. We have seen the parliament failing. We have seen the Senate failing. Our religious sectors have not really been anything to smile about. So it is only the court that remains. If William Ruto get hold of it, will we even have a country remaining? Mr. G?
Well, sorry.
Yeah, Mr. G, silale bwana, endelea.
No, today I will take a break, bwana mapema. Today I will take a break mapema.
But
before I come to your question. Yeah, before I come to your question, I had a question to Colonel, but I wanted to know first before I ask the question if he's the one from the airport. I'm a CA. Ametoka, Colonel ametoka. I had a question to him.
He's still there, but go ahead.
Wacha tungoje kama atakuja nitamuuliza, but today I wanted to take a break.
But go ahead, go to my question, then finish with Ochuka.
Okay, let me first speak something that Ashley alisema before I come to your question. Ashley alisema kuwa this president need to be impeached, but I can tell Ashley kuwa impeachment will not work at the moment, kwa sababu the guy ashanunua, amechukua parliament yote ameweka kwa mfuko. So there's nothing that can be done in the parliament, and if it is impeachment inafaa ifanyike kwa parliament. So parliament cannot impeach this guy. Huyu mtu amechukua wabunge wote ameweka kwa mfuko. Amechukua and everything. Sahi amechukua everything is work, and he's the person who controls anything. Akitaka anything ifanyike, yeye ndo anasema. Akitaka anything ifanyike, yeye ndo anatumana mpaka kwa parliament. Parliament cannot make a decision. Sahi they cannot make a law. They cannot do anything. He has to control. He has to say something. Nao wafuate. Wasipofuatwa, unaona wameitwa tena pale, wameitwa State House. Wanaonywa. So what I can just say ni kuwa on the issue of impeachment, hiyo tusahau. The only thing that can work at the moment sahi ni revolution. We need to talk about revolution. Now revolution inafaa iwe somebody who is tough. Baba is tough, but Baba haizi fanya that revolution at the moment. Kwa sababu Baba ni mtu ambaye hapendi kuona kukiwa na fujo kiasi, but revolution itakuwa na fujo. And that is something that can work for us kutoa huyu mtu. But tukisema mambo ya impeachment will not work. So to your question, Jex, ulikuwa unauliza nini?
So there's something alikuwa ananiuliza, nilikuwa nimepotea, nimerudi.
Haya, sawa basi. Sasa wacha tuanze basi. Muulize ndio nikuulize.
Niulize.
Okay, Colonel, are you the one from the airport? From the airport?
Hiyo sitajibu hiyo, nitanyamaza. But
okay. Sasa ukinyamaza basi hatuna haja kuuliza. Nilikuwa nataka niulize swali kwa sababu ya hiyo. Okay, if you cannot answer, wacha tuachie hapo.
Au ndio babu yangu. So so ni mababu yangu ndo walikuwa huko, so siwezi taka kuingilia sana.
Okay, sawa.
Na
Okay,
no
Jex,
wonder
what was the
pia
question?
nimezaliwa na hiyo jina.
Na ule wa Air Force aliwawa.
Okay, my question to you, Mr. G, was this. We have seen the president complain of the courts, but before he complained of the courts, many have cited that parliament has been held captive. Our religious institutions have been held captive. The only place that mwananchi angekimbilia na apate solace na apate justice kidogo imebaki kuwa kotini. Now, the president seems to be unhappy with the courts. If he has his way with the courts and refuse to obey court orders, where will mwananchi run to? Will he
Jex,
now
wacha
become totally
nikurekebishe kidogo.
okay?
Before hii government ingie, the first thing hii government iliweka kwa mfuko ni koti. Hii government iliweka koti kwa mfuko. Hiyo ndio kitu ya kwanza. Secondly, hii government ikaendea parliament. After parliament, this government ikajaribu kumanipulate system za Wakenya, za wafanyikazi, system ambazo juhudi za kuajiri mtu kazi. This government. So whatever it is doing now, si kitu geni. Hakuna venye nitasema Jex ni mtu corrupt. Na nikuje onea niseme huku kwa Jex, kuna leo sijui na nani leo na Stella, because kuna watu corrupt in between kwa Jex hapa, nitakataa. It means anajua, ashaitumia na ishaimsaidia, ashawai wa bribe ikafanyika venye anataka. Na hata akasema kwanza Ruto is the first president in Kenya mwenye amepea judiciary pesa mingi kuliko president wa wengine. Sio kama mko na habari kama hiyo. Hata Uhuru alikuja akakataka pesa yao kidogo. So it tells you that aliweka kwa mfuko kitambo. The problem is ameiweka kwa mfuko na saizi inamea pembe. Na inamuuma that judiciary inaanza kutoa pembe on the right na left. Sasa anataka ikate hizo pembe mapema ndio apate muda ya kufanya vitu anataka. So usiseme ati judiciary ndio ilibaki. It was the first thing iliweka kwa mfuko. Vitu ngapi judiciary imefanya mpaka inasema mambo na opposition ni hot air. Mambo na shamba ngapi? Au kama unaweza shika watu 300 unawaweka kwa police station ati kwa court. Wote unawashika na mashtaka moja. Unashika hata mtu pengine alikuwa anapita kwa barabara, umeweka na wao wote. Hizi koti zetu ni bure tu.
Bwana Leo, what do you make of are our courts independent or are they corrupt?
As far as the independence of the courts are concerned, I always believe that we don't have independent courts. They are independent in papers, but when it comes to deliberating on their roles, they are not independent. And these are some of the things that are always said by people who've been involved. If you want to know about how corrupt courts are, then you need to listen to this man called Abdullahi Abdi Nasir, senior counsel. So he used to be accused to be a beneficiary of the corrupt system in court. And right now he's the one who is really shouting out and telling us some of the things that happen behind the scenes in these courts. And he will tell you that most lawyers and advocates like Stella here, they'll tell you that nowadays they don't get clients simply because anybody can go to court and convince a judge. They don't convince a judge on the court, maybe during the proceedings that you see, but they tell you, why do you need to pay a lawyer or an advocate if you can buy a judge? So that is what people do. So there are specific lawyers or specific advocates that have an ear of the magistrate. They'll go and tell the magistrate or the judge that, you see, I have this amount. So that is final. This is how cases are won in this country. So the courts are not independent. And Kenyans have really been complaining of it. And the people who've been experiencing this are the poor. You have your case then because you don't have money to go and bribe these judges. So you end up not getting justice. So it is good that the president is confirming the same. He is confirming that Kenyans, you people have really been speaking the truth. He is confirming to the Azimio people that you people, you really got some rogue court. He is confirming that. And all in all, I don't expect to see the judiciary crying, or the judiciary maybe lamenting and complaining, because this is their product. They
All
need
right.
to own up and say, this is our kid, we birthed it, and we raised it. Now it is big enough. It is now swallowing us. They had an opportunity to stop it, but they did not stop it. So we as Kenyans will just celebrate. We have nothing to lose, actually. At the end of the day, we are used to suffering. So we'll have to celebrate so that next time they learn.
Mr. Geoffrey or Omariba, let me ask you this. Do you see William Ruto surviving without the courts? How will he even operate? If he chooses not to obey any court order, if he chooses to operate, how will he survive the wrath of people who, as well, will also choose not to obey court orders or obey or follow the constitution? How will he survive? Mr. Geoffrey?
Yes, I'm getting you. From my side, I can say that Ruto is not going to survive because this same court which elected him as the president, it is the same court which is blocking those projects which he has set. And for this housing levy, it will not succeed. Even as we are suffering here, we have no food to eat. Children are crying, parents are crying. Even the investors are running away from the country, and I'm seeing this country sinking. So Ruto is not going to survive anymore.
So you're saying Ruto won't survive anymore because even as per you, the country is sinking. There's a lot of funny things that is happening under his watch. Wow, interesting remarks. Penyagaka, how will Ruto move from here? Because either way, we must find a way to move forward. Will he? If he defies court orders, what will happen when mwananchi mwenyewe pia aanze kudefy court orders?
No, Jakes, he just spoke. He does not defy any court order. He just spoke what a lot of people in Kenya, vile Nyabaya amesema, they are questioning what kind of court do we have. We just had a judge get fired the other day. Even if he was taped, I don't know whether it was legal or not. But if you hear what he was conversing with the other judges and who he gave the money, it's questionable. But whether ni mwambie huyu ambaye amesumusa before me, Ruto will not go anywhere until 2032, because as of right now, there is nothing, as Mio is saying, as to how it has to be voted in 2027. They are only complaining about Ruto this, Ruto that, but the Kenyan people are very smart. They cannot just give you a vote because you just say that Jakes is wrong or Nyabaya is wrong. No, tell us what you are going to do. So he has not defied any court order, and I don't think that it would be proper for him to, defy any court order. But you will have to go up. And if Mother Koome says that is out there, it is hard there. And we will support that fully, even if we support the Uda government. But if you keep appealing until you get to Mother Koome and Mother Koome says that's not there, let us accept that is out there. Lakini, with all the plans that we ran for, the elections and Uda won, if they are trying to implement it, these gentlemen are going to court instead of telling us what to do. That's what a democracy does. A democracy, for writers information, is to have to sit out for the next 5 years. Other countries are 2 years, 3 years, but in Kenya it's 5 years. And like I said yesterday, from 2025 to 2026, everybody will have to love us in Kenya so that we can win the elections. And all the cost of living will have to come down. Because anywhere in the world, when there is a change of a regime, it is very difficult for that regime to even win any election. Anyway, it's not only unique to Kenya, it's everywhere in the world. That is exactly why UDA refused that we go to a referendum. No, they will lose hands down. They go walk in there knowing that they're going to lose. So,
all right. Now, Kenya Rebel, is this a statement from William Ruto signifying a man out to defy the rule of the land, a man ready to operate as he feels, as he thinks?
Hi, am I audible?
Very.
I'm happy with what's happening, whether it's Ruto or whoever is talking, whether it's the courts, because this is part of the growing pains. That shows that we are actually growing, because during Moi days, the courts will not pronounce it, or they will not offer their opinion on anything about their conflicts with the president. I just wanted to correct a few things. Not correct, but address. When Leo says Ruto is a product of the courts. Ruto is not a product of the courts, because the courts don't declare anyone president. It's the IEBC that declares who the president is. The case was taken to the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land. And the Supreme Court only had to adjudicate on the matter based on the rule of law. Evidence. When you go to court, what matters is evidence. Now, my friend Eli, who I haven't seen for a while, I'm glad to see him, he's telling us that the election was kind of rigged, or whatever the case is. When we go to a court of law, you have to produce the evidence. You just don't say it because you feel it's rigged or because you lost. Provide the evidence. Okay? Azimio provided the evidence, and it wasn't sufficient. Actually, it was ridiculous. That's why they called it hot air, because they were asked several questions. Can you tell us, where do you see, what part of which server are you claiming that the elections were rigged in, where it was tampered with? And in fact, the server is not even the issue. The election was to declare at the polling station. Okay? So when Leo says that the Ruto is a product of the Supreme Court, that's ridiculous. The Supreme Court has nothing to do with who becomes the president. They just adjudicate on the matter that's brought before them. And they did so, in my opinion, rightfully so. I think in 2022, Ruto won fair and square. Now, I didn't vote for Ruto. I didn't vote for Raila. I think they're both colonial puppets. And also one thing, this whole idea of saying, I had also earlier, wacha nimgwaruze kidogo, my brother, I haven't seen him for a while, so mpaka nimgwaruze, saying that, he doesn't feel sorry for those youth that were complaining or whatever, that Gachagua arrested or whatever the case is, because they chose this government. No, they have the democratic right to choose who they deemed as a better candidate. They were presented with Ruto and Raila Odinga, and among others, Wajakoya and so forth, and they chose Ruto. Now, does that mean that they should agree with Ruto in everything that Ruto does? No. So don't say that, oh, this is what you deserve because this is who you elected. That's not fair. Just because you elect somebody, or you voted for somebody, or you campaign for someone, doesn't mean that you have to support them in everything that they do. So we should stop this mlimpigia Ruto, so feel bad for this, feel guilty about it because ametupeleka hapa sijui ati Ruto. everyone has a right. In their eyes, they use their judgment, and they saw that Ruto was better option than Raila Odinga and his financier Uhuru Kenyatta. So let's not whatever. But anyway, to answer your question, Jakes, I'm just going to say that to me, I think it's a good thing. That means that even though yes, there are corrupt judges in the judiciary arm of government, but there's steps. We've taken a lot of steps, and if the president is complaining about the judiciary stopping his agenda, that means that there's some level of independence in the judiciary. It's not where we would like it to be, but it's a huge step. And it started with Maraga, who I think is a national hero, who stopped that drunkard from railroading us. And it's the same thing is happening with Ruto. So I'm happy with the courts. I'm happy with the courts. And the more Ruto complains, that's a good sign. That shows that there's independence, some level of independence in the judiciary. Thank you.
All right. Now, Madam Stella, let me ask you this even before I come to Ashley. Madam Stella, let me ask you, with what Miguna is saying like this, that stop threatening the judiciary. From where you sit, the sentiments that came from William Ruto, were they really a threat to judiciary? Were they sentiments that may make judges feel threatened, especially when they are making rulings that may not seem popular with the government or from where Ruto is? Stella? Stella, are you still on the road? All right, before Stella comes back, Ashley, same question. Is this a threat to the judiciary? Now, if it's a threat, how do the judges really perform from here, and how do they make it that they don't rub the government the wrong way?
I don't think that they should worry about rubbing the government the wrong way. They should just do their job. However, Kenyans should, whether the judges, however the judges rule, I think us as Kenyans, we have a responsibility. Because if this is Ruto's almost 1.5 years, and this is how he's talking, can you imagine in the 4th year how emboldened he will be? You know, so I see danger ahead. And because he has deep roots, I think as Kenyans we have power, you know, and we need to look for a way to get him out. And I think we don't have to. Someone said that we need to do forceful. It doesn't have to be. We can learn from other countries that have done it successfully without bloodshed, without violence, without force. If I've had the teachers say that they will not go back to work, you know, you have to accept. You were not made a slave. When the slaves were being taken, you are left and you're a free man. How can you allow someone to make you a slave? If you're a teacher, how can you work 2 years for 20,000 when someone like Sudi did not go to high school and he's earning ridiculous amounts of money? If all the teachers would team up and say, we are not going, they're saying they're not going to school, whether the parents bring their children or not. I like that. And I hope they keep their word. Let them stay home as many as possible, if not 100%. They say we are not coming to school. We are not coming to teach. You have to give us contracts. You have to do what we want, because like people, they are going out there. Money, there's money, but it is being put in the wrong places. If just a sitting in parliament, they make that 20,000, yet they want to pay a teacher who actually does something that is tangible, that you can see. So you have to make Ruto listen. These conferences, this complaining we do here on Mutembei and other shows, and telling Ruto should understand, Ruto doesn't understand. Ruto understands. You just put a clip here. When he was talking about how we should, when he was talking during BBI, how they should obey, how they should not go outside, how they should welcome people's opinions. So how come suddenly he has amnesia? How come suddenly he doesn't understand? And when we say he doesn't understand how to rule, then we are excusing him. And he does understand. But he's choosing, maybe in his house, his word is the law. He's forgetting Kenya is not the world. We are not his property. We have put him here to govern under the law. He doesn't want to obey the law. We can stay home. Yes, the other day I came here to put ourselves on lockdown. Oh, let us sacrifice, instead of sacrificing life, let's stay home and give those who don't have food. Let us, if you have to go 3 days without food, I'm telling you, stay home for two weeks, even a month, even 2 months, he will have to bow down. He will have to do something and have some irreducible minimums that he has to abide. Even he can stay in power, but the people will show him they're not paying the finance. If that finance bill, that's what I'm saying, even though the courts decide that he can have the housing levy is goes through the courts because he can buy them. Now he has threatened them. You remember what he did to his this guy called Kenei, who was his bodyguard? He disappeared. So they can fear and pass it, or they can be paid and pass it. But as Kenyans, as the majority is Kenyan and we are at home, you can decide we are going to stay at home. We will not go to work as teachers. We will not go to work as taxpayers until you remove that housing levy. I think if people do that, that is the only way we win this time, if we are not going to take it out through a coup. That is my suggestion.
Stella, what I'm hearing from Ashley, she's almost calling people to to protest and to practice their rights in a way that has not been seen before. And William Ruto as well is seemingly threatening the judges. How do we even operate such a country? The president doesn't want to obey the law. The citizens want to defy him. How do we balance all this? Stella, I can hear you.
There's one thing about.
Go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Jakes, you can
I
hear
can
me?
hear you, Stella. I can hear you. Go ahead.
You see someone like, yeah, that's how I was saying. You see someone like Ruto, you cannot wake up and decide that you're going to threaten the courts, because these courts are the ones it's the one which molded you to, so you have to respect it. So if you had an issue with those corrupt judicial officer, you name them, you say it is judge this, judge A, judge B, so that we can understand where the judicial officers are corrupt. But you can't say the entire judiciary is corrupt. So that means he's afraid of something. And remember, when these people went to take this, they faulted the government. It's because the government decided to run the like a kangaroo, I mean, like a jungle, where he thinks like they don't have their rights. He's forgetting when he took an oath and he mentioned that he's going to respect the constitution either in ill or will. But now the problem is someone who is advising Ruto, and the person who I'm going to fault is the AG. If there was one matter which had gone to court, which was faulted, and I think it was about some housing levy or this thing for the CAS, where it was known that the CAS office, it's illegal. I don't understand why he's not understanding that this thing is illegal. So that means he's afraid of something. And he has to understand the judiciary does not take, they don't take puppet instructions, because the judges who are there, when they went through the JSC, they were vetted. They were told when they can understand the laws of the land, and those of the land, if it can be respected. And if someone faults the laws of the land, what happens? Are you prosecuted, jail, or anything? But if Ruto was defaulting the court, he can go and appeal. And I don't understand why he's not going to appeal. You come and discuss this thing when you have either won or lost through the appeal. But do not discuss this thing in public if these matters are going through the court process. So that means he wants to sabotage and instill fear, not only to the judiciary, but to the people of Kenya who made him to be the president. And if he feels that he cannot perform, he gives it to the deputy president, or he kick rocks, we go back again and we do our referendum again. That's simple.
All right. That's simple. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to what some leaders had to say.
President William Ruto over attempting to weaken the judiciary so as to lay grounds for passing legislation that would see him extend the presidential term limit. Equally, the Law Society of Kenya has urged the president to table evidence of the corrupt judicial officers and desist from making roadside declarations that undermine the independence of the judiciary. And as NTV's Sydney Chazima now reports, the LSK has now planned countrywide protests starting next week, aiming to protect the independence of the judiciary.
It is now evident that the claims made by President William Ruto that there allegedly exists some corrupt elements in the judiciary who are hell-bent on crippling government projects through endless litigation have not gone down well with practitioners of the law and the political class as well. The Law Society of Kenya has already issued a call for mass action to its members starting next week.
The Law Society would be organizing a countrywide peaceful demonstrations where we will read and affirm the oath that each and every one of the advocates of the High Court of Kenya took to protect the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the constitution that we have.
The president was on record claiming that the Kenya Kwanza administration's flagship projects were facing unending litigation, going as far as stating examples of the Housing Levy Fund and the newly introduced Social Health Insurance Fund. According to Ruto, the numerous court cases have sabotage written all over them.
That decisions that have been given by the judiciary have been procured through corruption. Yet he is a beneficiary of a decision that has been made by the judiciary. It basically is an oxymoron. It is something that is not making sense.
But amidst the claims by the president, the political class opines that there is more than what meets the eye. Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni claims that the president has set his sights on a bigger picture that may include amending the constitution to increase or scrap the presidential term limit.
His intention is to demean the judiciaries in the eyes of the public for the reasons that he has something he wants to achieve, which is unconstitutional, and he does not want the judiciary to raise a finger.
I am completely shocked that what I had my president say yesterday came from him. You know why? Because I campaigned with my president. And everywhere he went, he pledged to obey the courts of law.
Practitioners of the law want the president to follow due process in dealing with the alleged corrupt elements in the judiciary.
If he has evidence that they are rogue judicial officers, and we are not saying that they are not, but we are saying that if he has evidence, then that evidence ought to be presented to the Judicial Service Commission so that it can be processed and dealt with as prescribed under the Constitution.
In his end of the year 2023 speech, President Ruto hit at the opposition, accusing it of forum shopping for favorable judges who would rule against government programs. Kioni didn't object.
We will not keep quiet. And he is not going to intimidate us by saying that we are sabotaging him. Where we think we need to go to court, we will go to court directly or through other people who can be able to meet to help us with the costs, because the costs are also very high.
The president's remarks came on the eve of the hearing of the Housing Levy Fund case at the Court of Appeal. But Githunguri MP Gathoni Wamuchomba not only wants the Housing Levy Fund scrapped, but also the Finance Act of 2023.
We must repeal the Finance Act, and we must repeal the issue of house levy. And if really the president wants to collect money to do his things, to pay his debts, let him come clear and tell us, nataka munisaidie tulipe madeni. Lakini asituambie ni maneno ya nyumba.
If he doesn't want this to happen, let him go through public participation. And when Kenyans say, hii ni mzuri lakini hatuitaki saa hii, wachana naye. Then he'll be able to do the things Kenyans want him to do now and the things they can afford to do now.
With the executive turning the heat on the judiciary, the public has now been urged to furnish the Judicial Service Commission with reports and evidence of corrupt judges and judicial officers, with the JSC promising to take swift and stern action against them. Sydney Chazima.
All right. You have heard Wamoshomba. You have heard one Jeremiah Kioni, and I'll be playing many more. This is a war that is not going anywhere anytime soon. Let me begin with you, Kenya Rebel. Kenya Rebel, this was the argument of the president. For example, on the housing levy, it went to parliament. Parliament debated it, went through all the stages, and it was passed. He signed it into law. Already that is the procedure laid under the constitution. He went ahead and said, these are what is in his manifesto. These are his agenda. This is what the people of Kenya voted for. So his argument is this: I went to the people, they agreed with me, they gave me the mandate to be the president. I went through parliament, the parliament passed the bills, including the hospital, the health bill and every other bill. It has gone through all forms of public participation as per him. But someone, after it has become law, someone goes to the courts, and the court seems to stop, despite all the processes being followed duly. So he's asking, so how else am I supposed to go about it? Because I have gone through the people, I've gone through parliament, I have made the laws, I have personally signed them into laws after they have gone through all the rightful channels. So what else do you want me to do if not to defy the courts? From where you see, do you agree with his sentiments? Is he someone out there to sabotage his programs and his desire to do many of his pet projects?
No, Jake. Even the finance bill was illegal because the process was not followed. The process in the parliament, in the parliamentary system, was not followed because they didn't define what a budget was. Okay, as it is defined in the constitution, where you have to have the expenditure estimates and the estimates for what do you call it? The money that you receive per year that the country makes in a year. What do you call it? Somebody help me.
Budget estimates, what?
No. Ile pesa in the year, revenue estimates. Okay.
Revenue.
You have to have the revenue estimates and the expenditure estimates that you want to spend. You have that is defined in order to make it a budget, which is usually an appropriation bill. Okay, but that's what Okiom Tata was arguing, that when the process was being done, these guys, they told us the budget estimate, but they didn't give us the revenue estimates. Revenue estimate is based on the previous year's revenue that was collected the previous year, but they didn't give us that. That alone is enough to actually disqualify the whole process, because it does not qualify it to be defined as finance bill, as a budget. Okay, so you can't go on with the process among others. Okay. Then comes the finance, the Affordable Act. Okay, it's discriminatory in its nature, which again violates what's in the Constitution. I think was it Article 38 or 36? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. That's one of the charges of the people who took the case to the courts. Okay, Tata and the gang. Okay, this is not Azimio.